Hey, what's going on, podcast world? This is your boy Tryone Desperado, your student of life. We're here for another installment of Straight Talk. No Chaser is a fired up version, so definitely be prepared to hear a lot of curse words, a lot of craziness going on. I'm going to introduce my podcast partner. He's going to introduce himself, and we're going to go from there.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy Kev from Life Relationships and Everything in Between. From what Ty tells me, because this was a last-minute topic, from what he tells me, this is going to be a good one, so let's get into this podcast.
All right, let's go on. So I want to say really quick, there's going to be a disclaimer for this episode. There's going to be a lot of hate-filled words, a lot of curse words, so just be prepared. Keep your children in the background. Keep the volume low if you don't want to hear them to hear what we're going to say. But it's going to be on point, it's going to be on topic, and we're ready for this shit.
You know what?
I mean?
Before you do that, too, real quick, Ty, I got to do this. I was looking over the our podcast platform, the analytics, earlier, and I just want to give a few shout-outs real quick. This shit kind of blew me away, so that's why I'm going to do this. I was going over some of the analytics because I just wanted to see what our numbers look like, and both platforms looks like every episode we're at near that 200 mark for every episode, which is dope.
Nice.
But what I wanted to do was I wanted to shout out some of the top. I mean, we got a high percentage of listeners in Germany, Japan, Asia. I mean, all over. This thing is global. We're going to continue to try and grow it. So shout out to everybody that's listening in. Definitely continue to do that. We're going to bring y'all dope content. Like Ty always says, if y'all got any ideas for any shows or anything, hit up the social media. If y'all want to drop an idea for a show or be part of a show, straighttalk315@gmail.com. Hit us up. Let us know what's going on.
Definitely, man. We're all about feedback. We're all about making all of you guys a part of the conversation. So please get involved, speak your mind. We're doing this for you guys, and we want everybody to be a part of this conversation. So thank you for all your feedback.
Facts.
Thank you for listening, all right?
Definitely. All right, Ty, what's going on? What we got?
All right, what's going on? What's going on in Virginia?
Oh, shit.
Yeah. This shit is getting crazy. First of all, what I want to talk about, okay, so in Virginia, the alt-right, which is, in my opinion, a white supremacist or white nationalist organization, whatever you want to freaking call these people,
right,
are protesting in Virginia. They think their rights to be taken away. They think white people are getting discriminated against, yada, yada, yada. Now, listen, as an American citizen, I support their right to protest.
Right.
I support everybody's right to protest, even if I don't agree with what you're saying. What I do not support is that your followers are gunning down and running over the alternative. Because there was also an alternative group who protested against their protest. And
right.
one of their own, I guess, run down people, got in his car, drove down the street, run down the alternative protesters, killed one person and injured 35 other people.
Right.
Our president gets on a mic and says, we condemn this kind of behavior, we condemn this, but what he did not do is condemn the white supremacist organization who started this whole thing in the beginning.
So wait, are you saying that he was condemning the anti-protesting group?
He condemned the violence.
Okay.
He did, but he did not condemn the white supremacist group who started this whole thing in the beginning. Like he almost in a sense aligned himself with these people who are admitted white supremacists who comes out and say that they hate black people, they hate Hispanic people, they hate any kind of changes that affects white America. Our president did not condemn those people. And here's the problem I had, because people came for Barack Obama because he refused to say that Muslims, the radical Muslim movement or radical Islamists, he didn't say that. So they came for him for that. So I'm coming for our president and saying, well, why, if you're so upset that Barack Obama didn't say radical Islam, why are you now not saying radical Christians, radical white supremacists?
Right.
How do you feel about that situation?
And I won't even front. I found out about this whole thing because the day it happened, I had just gotten back from work and I had taken a nap and I woke up and Ty was hitting me up like, "Yo, did you hear about what happened?" So I was reading about it after the fact, and then of course everything was blown up on social media, and somebody brought up a really good point. They were saying that it's funny how whenever, and I hate to do the racial thing, but this is a situation where it's unavoidable. And somebody brought up a good point, and they were like, it's funny how whenever a black person or black people are in the media for being accused of having done something as heinous as this is, that they will bring up their whole past, they'll bring up their rap sheet, they'll talk about their family and things that they've done and what's going on in their personal lives. And it's almost like it's non-existent for this situation. And in my personal opinion, anytime you're getting into, especially when you talk about the undertone, you got racially charged. These are radicals. This is a white supremacist group. You have them protesting whatever it is that they're there to do. I classify that as domestic terrorism. Maybe I'm off base. Maybe it's just my opinion, but that's how I classify that. And I feel like it should be treated as such. Because if we was out there doing that, talking about black power, fuck white men, like fuck white people and all of that, that's exactly what they would be screaming. Is domestic terrorism and we're creating, hatred and all of this. But it's just funny how when the shoe's on the other foot, we don't hear that same rhetoric. And that's really what my personal take on it is.
Well, I mean, if you remember, me and you had a conversation about an incident that took place where a couple of young black children beat up a mentally disabled person and was saying like racist rhetoric and something like that, and we classified them as terrorists.
Right.
We said they were wrong. This is what they did. So it's not like we're biased against certain groups of people.
Exactly.
But this is absolute terrorism.
Right.
And the problem is, in our country, white terrorism, homegrown terrorism, is a much bigger deal than immigration.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, because who's shooting everybody up? Who's making all of these issues where they're going out with AK-47s, they're killing hundreds of people, they're doing this and that? This is homegrown terrorism.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
This is what we breed in our country, in our society, and we're so obsessed with Mexicans and Muslims and this and that, but why are we obsessed with our own?
Exactly, and this is how you know the scales.
This is what we're doing to each other. This person who did this is not from Mexico. He's not Islamic. He's not, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Why don't we hold these people accountable and say, this is Americans doing it to Americans?
Right, right. And this is how you know the scales are so off balance, because you have, I guess if you want to consider it, a peaceful protest, right? And then you have an anti-group that's protesting the protest. There's no reason to respond the way that this crazy individual did. There's no fucking reason for that. I mean, you got men, women, probably children. You got people out there just peacefully exercising their, First Amendment right and protesting a situation that they don't agree with. That's what we're all supposed to be here for. That's what it's supposed to be about. If you got a disagreement or if you don't like the establishment or something that's going on, you voice your opinion in a peaceful manner. This person taking it to the next level is just ridiculous, and it's going to be interesting to see how the justice system responds to it.
Well, maybe I'm being a bit unfair, because what I typically do when it comes to the Black Lives Matter protests, when the few of them, because there has been hundreds of Black Lives Matter protests, so when the few does get violent, I do defend them and say that the people who are looting or burning up stores or they're not part of that movement.
Right.
Okay?
I think most people,
they're taking advantage of a bad situation, and they're doing what they want to do because they want free shit.
And then sometimes
they're taking a situation and they're trying to fuck up. They're not part of the protest.
And then sometimes too, that's a good point, Ty. And sometimes too, what also happens is, and this is definitely documented as having gone on back in during the Civil Rights Movement, and also when the Black Panthers were doing their thing. This is definitely documented that a lot of times within these peaceful protests, because you mentioned the Black Lives Matter movement, a lot of times they will implement these people and position them within these protests, and they will get them to take things to the next level. And like you said, these people won't have anything to do with that movement or that protest. They're just there for the image and to cause shit, and then so that we can look at them and say, okay. But what I'm saying is, sometimes these people are sent into those protests to create shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes it do just be, normal citizens, like, just wanting free shit. But a lot of times, and this is documented, a lot of times those people will be put there and will be paid off to kick up some shit. Yeah. And that's a real thing, and it does happen.
And
but
it's unfortunate, but unfortunately, sometimes violence does cause for change.
Mm-hmm.
Now, anybody who knows the LGBT movement in 1969, this is why we celebrate Gay Pride every June, was that the LGBT community in New York City was getting harassed by cops, getting beat up by cops, being tortured by cops, and they tore streets of Lower Manhattan up, all the gay communities, the trans community, they tore it up, and it ended up resulting in change.
Right.
It ended up resulting in change. This is why gay people had the rights that they had. So sometimes you do gotta fuck shit up. Sometimes you do gotta get violent and break windows and break stuff down. We're not in that situation right now. The situation right now with the alt-right, yes, you are white people who feel like you're suppressed. You're, Mexicans and blacks or Jewish people all taking over. Get your head out of your fucking asses. You are still 55% of this country. White people run this fucking country, bro. Like, let's be clear. You're not suppressed. You're not oppressed at all. What the fuck is wrong with you is you're fucking lazy. I don't know what the fuck is you're racist. You're lazy. You're power hungry. You want more than you deserve, and you don't want to do shit to earn it, so you want to blame other people.
Right.
That's clearly what's happening right now with these fucking alt-right people. You're white supremacists. You're fucking Nazis. Grow the fuck up. Get your head out of your fucking asses. Black people are not going anywhere. Latinos are not going anywhere. Women are not going anywhere. We are all equal, and you don't want us to all be equal. You want your more than fair share of everything, and you want to blame everybody else for your fucking problem. Right. That's what's going on right now with these fucking people. I mean, am I right? Am I wrong? Am I blind? Am I deaf? Am I doing something wrong?
You're absolutely 100% correct. I think what's going on is, systematically, it's the same issues over and over again. They take their qualities, and I'm talking about the systematic issues, the systematic racism that has been going on in this country since this country's inception, take their qualities, and then they try to deflect those qualities off on us. And I mean, it's worked for so long, but we're at a point now where people aren't having it anymore. And that's why you have these new age groups, like Black Lives Matter standing up, because something does have to be done. And it's just crazy how you can have so many black unarmed men and women being killed in the streets for doing nothing that would equate to them having to lose their lives. And this person who ran down this crowd of protesters, killed someone and injured dozens of others, they're going to have their day in court. We don't always get our day in court. We get a funeral, and then we get our faces and our names and our whatever misdemeanor criminal history we might have plastered all over the media, and then our family is embarrassed and can't even mourn in peace. It's not equal. It's not equal at all, and that's why so many people are upset.
Very, very sad, How many people in our communities, Kevin, me growing up, who we had to watch being buried and nothing changed?
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing changed, but when it becomes a white problem, it changes.
Mm-hmm. And this is the biggest problem I have too. It's like it's like the bullied third grader mentality. It's like you bully our communities, our society for so long. And then once we stand up, and it's happened, numerous times over the decades and centuries, once we stand up and say we've had enough, then you want to call us criminals and monsters because we've had enough. But what about what was done to push us to this point? Because I'll be honest with you, and I don't condone what happened in Virginia. I don't condone any violence. I don't condone anything of that nature. But having said that, you push any people to a point where they just snap and can't take it anymore. When we go out and start killing them, when we go out and start doing the same shit that has been done to us for so long, don't call us criminals. Don't call us thugs. Don't call us monsters, because there's only so much people could take. And I feel like and I've been feeling this way for the past few years now, we're getting to a point of critical mass because this new generation coming up behind us, they don't give a fuck, pardon my language.
They sure don't. They have no fucks to give.
None.
At all.
At all. At all. They're not having it. They're not laying down. They're not, it's not, it's just, it's going to be bad unless something's done. And unfortunately, we don't have an administration in power right now who's really going to implement any real change.
But what I find so interesting is that the person who did this crime, running down these people, was part of the alt-right or on their side, so to speak. But the media is not condemning the whole group of people.
Of course.
But as people out of line at the Black Lives Matter protest, it's like they're all criminals, they're all this, they're all that. You know what I mean? The racial bias in our system is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm gonna tell you a quick story. And I don't know if you remember, Kevin, you might be too young to remember this, but when we were kids, a girl who lived down the street to me aborted her own child. And a week later, and she was in the news, they destroyed this girl. She was 15 years old. They destroyed her in the news. I remember, and I actually knew her. She was my brother's best friend's sister, younger sister. A week later, a white couple who were 15 years old did the exact same thing. They were good kids gone bad. Because she was trash. She was just this trashy girl from a trashy neighborhood who killed her. Well, actually, the baby didn't even die, but they say she tried to kill her own baby. She was a horrible person. They were good kids gone bad. Why are they good kids gone bad, and yet the black girl is a murderer?
Because that's
an attempted murder.
And that's the agenda, Ty, and that's always been the agenda. It's when one of our people does something, it can never just be that individual. They always have to be tied to the community, to the whole group. But when theirs does something, it's always, they just, someone shoots up a school or a church. Oh, it's just he's mentally ill. Oh, it's mental problems. But when we do it, we're thugs. We're rapists. We're murderers. We're just heathens. I don't know, but what I will say though is that, fortunately, people are woke now. People see what's going on, and I do not blame white people as an overall race because I think people are woke now.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
There are some people who still have this archaic and antiquated way of thinking, and thankfully, by the time the next generation comes up, hopefully there won't be any more of them left because I think the days of them poisoning the young kids, these kids now don't see color. They don't see race. They don't care about any of that. And in another few generations, in another 2 or 3 generations, we're going to be... Well, hang on one second.
That's a conversation for another time.
My thing is, racism is taught. It's always been that way. You're not born racist. You're not born, biased to any one group, color, social background, ethnic background, whatever. It's taught. And what I'm saying is it was a conscious effort to continue to teach that throughout the generations. But I feel like that stopped with our generation, and it's been getting better and better ever since. Because if you think about it, it's never the younger kids that you see, on that racist, type of time. It's the older people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that culture is slowly dying out.
What younger people are doing right now is they're pretending like it don't exist anymore. And
that's a different point.
One of the guys who worked with me, he's a 19-year-old kid, and he's a libertarian. Which for me, libertarians are people who just don't want to admit they're Republican. That's just how I look at this. He honestly thinks racism doesn't exist because he's this young white kid growing up in the suburbs. And think, we have a black president, and we have this, and that. He's like, I love black people, I have Spanish friends, but they are a huge part of the problem. When you think something doesn't exist that really does exist, you become almost the worst part of it. And that's my problem with young people right now. They need to understand that, yes, it still exists. And yes, they're still part of the problem because there's a thing called colorblind racism. When you are colorblind racism, when you're the type of person who thinks everybody is all the same, because you are the one on the end that has the good side.
Right.
You yourself may hire black people, or may like black people, may have black friends or Hispanic friends, But you don't understand that they're still being oppressed. We still live in a system that's set up to deny minorities the luxury of life, the American dream.
So I think that's a two-way point, and I think there's good and bad in it. I do think that when we are in the middle of a revolution, when we're in the middle of civil rights issues and all these things that are going on, yes, being blind to it is equally as bad as being on the wrong side. But however, in order for us to get to a point in the future where we can totally wipe this way of thinking out altogether, I think that also will come to be a good thing later on. Because these kids being blind to it, it might be ignorance now, but I feel like we have enough of us left who are still conscious of it that can keep the fight going. I don't necessarily want these kids now to be poisoned by that, because when they're our age, if they don't recognize it or see it, by the time they're running the world and they're the politicians and they're the judges and the police officers, their kids really won't have a clue. And that might not necessarily be the worst thing, because we've tried it for so long, the way of let's be conscious, let's be woke, let's know what's going on, let's teach it, let's fight against it. But I feel like sometimes that can backfire, because sometimes you'll keep the fight going when it doesn't need to be kept going. Right now it does. But in 10, 20 years, 30 years, it might not need to be.
Specifically, me and your generation, like people who were born into the late 70s and the 80s.
But I'm talking about these 90s babies.
I'm sorry?
I'm talking about these 90s babies, the 2000 kids.
I'm thinking about like people who were born in that time period, the late 70s, the early to mid 80s. We handled now as adults racism the worst kind of way, because our parents were real victims of it. Real victims of it. Yes, we were victims of it too, but they were. But the problem with our generation in particular, those people who grew up in that time period, is that we made ourselves victims way too long. Way too long. You know what I mean? There was it was all the man this and the man that, and white people doing this, so white people give me that. And it's not entirely our fault, because some of it was passed down from, our parents, because they were victims of it, so they kind of wanted to pass that down and say, listen, you're going to... But we should have been taught a little bit differently and say, do not victimize yourself. So this is the world you live in. This is what's going to happen. Get over it and move the fuck on. You know what I mean? Because we have a lot of power. Our culture as African Americans touches every single culture in this entire world, and has been like that for generations. The music that we produce, what we produce in sports and entertainment and politics and medicine and science. What young kids are doing now, they don't even care if their white friends say the N-word anymore. Like, these young kids who are in their teens, they don't care about that. They don't know the impact that the word has and what it actually means, Well, you know what? Let me chime in right there, because I'm glad you mentioned that. Because that has been something that has become quite an epidemic lately, and I hear it all the time in the white town that I live in. But you know what? I blame our generation for that, and I'm going to tell you why. You can never have, when you take something, and I get the whole, because we did a podcast episode about this, if for anybody who didn't hear it, definitely go back and take a listen. We were talking about the N-word and the culture of it, the history of it, and how it was mainly started with Ty's generation, and then mine definitely, took it to the next level. This whole idea of, that started in the 70s, this whole idea of taking the hatred and the pain in that word and then flipping it on its ear to turn it into a term of endearment that we used within our community amongst our peers. And so the problem with that is that there was a backfire in that, and the backlash of that was that we did that for so long, and we did that even once we got out of the hood and we moved to these suburbs in this middle America, the middle class, and these white kids saw us doing it, and they were around it, and they thought it was cool, and then they started doing it, and then eventually we started to see them, just like us, for the most part, and then we made it okay, and then they just kept it going. I think that if we had never taken that word and started to use it the way that we did, I don't think these white kids would be doing it the way they do it, because when they do it, their argument is they give the same argument that we gave. And of course it isn't the same, but at the same time, I think that we have to take some of the blame for that. Absolutely. know what it is? There's a dichotomy in this world.
Of course.
People are oppressed. So you know what? If you can't say a word, that's good for you. Because that's the only issue you have to really deal with as a white person. Just the fact that you can't say one specific word. Put yourself in the shoes of a black person, particularly black men, and what we have to suffer in this society as black people. You just can't say a word as a white person, but you have every other opportunity given to you. And you're telling me I'm supposed to feel bad because, I can say, you can say nigga, this and that, but I can't say it. That's your only issue in life.
Yeah, but see, that's
social issue.
that's.
So I don't feel bad for you that you get stigmatized if you try to use that word.
Right, but I think
because we have much more to deal with that as African Americans, as a minorities.
Of course.
But you know what words I don't use? I don't use Guido. I don't say kook. I don't say cracker. I don't say any of those stereotypes that.
But see, here's the problem, though, with that too, Ty, is that, the problem is as long as we continue to, and by we, I don't mean you and I, as long as we continue to use it, that will always be their argument, because those racial slurs that you just mentioned, and then other ones like, what some people refer to as Jewish people, the reason why they were able to eradicate those words for the most part, and then even when people do slip up and say them, they are brought to the stage in the spotlight, and they're apologetic about it because they don't use those words to themselves and amongst themselves. I think the reason why we get so much slack when we fire back at white people for using the word, I think it's because we still use it. And I think as long as we continue to do that, they will always have that argument to lean on. So they don't respect it.
I'm not sure if I 100% agree, only because I'm saying these Jewish people, Italian people, Hispanic people who have these kind of racial slurs attached to them, they can integrate themselves into modern society. Like how back in the day, a lot of Italian people, a lot of Hispanic people, a lot of Polish people changed their last names to American names, and they became part of it. We can't do that because we just have dark skin.
Well, that's true
too.
We had
to develop our own culture. We had to develop our own way of life because we can't blend in. People forget that Italians and Irish people and Polish people, they were discriminated against in this country just as bad, if not worse.
Of course. But you know what the problem is, though. The problem, again, that comes back to, and look, I'm sorry, yo. I know it seems like I'm taking our people to task, but you know what? I have to do it. I have to do it because to answer to that point that you just made, at the same time, the reason why the Jewish community, the Italian community, the reason why they were able to do it, even the Japanese community, because they had it hard after World War II started.
That's another community that can't integrate into society.
But here's the thing. These communities, these racial groups, they got together themselves and did it for themselves. And that's why you have these Jewish communities. That's why you have Little Italy in every major city. It's us that can't come together. It's one thing to say that the system is oppressing us and keeping us out of the loop, but we can't even come together within ourselves as a community. And until we're able to do that, though, it's
another argument on that. They know where they're from. You know what I mean? If you meet Japanese people, they know exactly in Japan where they're from. If you meet Italian people, they know where in Italy where they're from. We don't know where we're from. We don't know. Listen, my grandfather, who you met, is white as my roommate. He will not admit the fact that he has mixed blood in him. I have no idea where he's from. I have no idea who his ancestors are, or if they're mixed with English, if they're mixed with German, if they're mixed with this and that. People who are from here, who are Italian, Irish, they know where they're from. We don't know where we're from. We don't have the ability to build that camaraderie amongst us because we don't know who we are.
That's another.
We are mixed with everything.
All right, hang on. That's another good point, and I'm going to continue to drag our people on that point as well. Yes, do it, please. Because black people, please stop using that as an excuse. Because those other communities, those other groups, those other cultures, Yes, they found out and they were taught where they were from, but they did it themselves. We have to do it ourselves, and there's no excuse in 2017. The information is. Hold on, Ty. Hold on, Ty. Wait, hold on, Ty. Hold on. The information is there. It may have been hard to find it. It may not be the easiest to find it now, but the information is still there. When you're Italian, hang on. When you're Italian, I'm about to break it down, because when you're Italian and you go, when you're coming up and you're.
From their history, they know because their parents say this is where it's from. They didn't have to do. We have to get blood tests. We need science to prove to where we're from.
We don't need science. We don't need science to tell us that we're disconnected from our natural land, and that's Africa. We don't need science for that part. But I don't see enough black people running to Africa. I see Italians going back to Italy. I see the Greeks going back to Greece. You see the Germans going back to Germany.
I don't think they're going that. I think they want to stay here.
But this is my point. That's exactly my point. It was and this was done purposefully. It was done. We were brought here. We were introduced to a different lifestyle. We were made to feel like this was home, and we were stripped from our ancestry. You're right. We were stripped from our history. But the second that we had a chance to go back, we could have, and we chose not to. Why? Because they did such a good job as painting Africa as this third world country that's in a corner of the world and nothing's going on there. We got to take some of the responsibility. We have to, because look, the whole, and I'm going to get so dragged for saying this, but I don't care. The whole civil rights movement.
I might drag you.
the whole civil rights movement. This is the first time I'm saying this out loud, but I've been saying it for years. I gotta do it. This is straight talk, no chaser. I'm not gonna always be right, but I'm gonna give it to y'all straight. The whole civil rights movement, with the exception of Malcolm X, in my opinion, was bullshit. Now, hold on, let me finish. I'm not talking about, I'm not saying that the progress that was made wasn't good. What I'm saying is, for as hard as we fought and bled and died to belong to a system that does not want us here, for as many peaceful sit-ins that we orchestrated to be welcomed into establishments that were never meant to be for us, we could have been building our own community. We wasted that time. And I'm not saying we should have been saying fuck that and kill them. What I'm saying is, instead of putting the energy in to fighting against a system that did not want us, did not like us, treated us like a stepchild, even though we built this country, what I'm saying is we could have built our own. We had the resources, we have the intelligence, and if you really want to be real, we do have the finances to do it. We just don't know how to work together.
Well, they said the richest man that ever lived was black. He was African.
We were kings and queens.
$400 billion.
We were kings and queens.
But here's the thing: as Americans, Kevin, we're not those people. We are integrated. We're mixed. We're not. Listen, you're not 100% African. I'm not 100% African. We're not those people.
And that's my point. Nobody is. We're all so interwoven, and that was my whole initial point for why I said in another few generations, everybody will be so interwoven that nobody will know anymore who. And you know what? Is that really a bad thing? Why does it have to be about race?
I think it's absolutely.
Why can't it just be it should just be the human race, and then we have our cultures and that we celebrate, and it should be respected, and that's it. Fuck all of this white and black and Spanish and all this other shit. Because you know what? At the end of the day, we all have the same life problems. We all got the same. I mean, there might be a different tone to some of the issues, and there may be different struggles that we as black people have to endure, and that's understandable and that's respected. But at the same time, it does. And on a human level, we all are just trying to get through this short life the best way we know how, and that's it.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to wrap this story up really, really quick by offering our condolences to the there's one life so far that was lost in this attack in Virginia, and we just want to offer our condolences to the 35 injured members of this attack. It's absolutely dreadful, and it's super, super sad, and we just wish the best for everybody. We don't want anybody hurt, anybody killed, but we do support the right for people to protest, even if we don't agree with their opinion.
Absolutely.
And that we're going to go on to the next story.
And what I think before we go on to the next thing, I think I need to send this message. You know, when stuff like this is done, pardon me, y'all, for my voice. I'm out of breath. I just got finished playing basketball for a couple hours, so I'm out of it. But the whole purpose of these types of things when it happens is to scare and discourage us, and we've seen it over and over again. Do not give up your First Amendment right. If you believe in something, fight for it. You know, fight for it within the system, but fight for it. And as long as we don't give up and we keep on pushing for what's right, then, you know, it just is what it is. Unfortunately, there's always casualties in any war. And unfortunately, this is a war. And until it's won and until we are able to gain ground, we just have to keep doing what we have to do. Everybody can't do the same thing. For the people who want to go out and protest, do that. For the people who you know want to have a voice and they have a platform, look, I'm not out in Virginia protesting. I wasn't out in Baltimore protesting, but I have a podcast platform. Ty has a podcast platform, and we voice our opinions and we keep the conversation going through our platform. Everybody can do something.
Absolutely.
All right.
So what we want to talk about next, man, we're going to talk about this proposed bill that Donald Trump introduced to ban all transgender members from our military.
Donald Trump, hold on, Trump, Mr. President, don't you have better, or don't you have more pressing? Like, I mean, seriously, this is what your agenda is? Really?
It's for me, this is incredibly heartbreaking. And when we decided to talk about this, Kevin, man, I literally had to go over it in my head 5 times because every time I talked about it, I started crying to myself. Like, I was like, I'm not going to cry on air. You know what I mean? So, like, let me go over this over and over and over again. So I'm not decent. Oh, shit.
Man, fuck that. What the fuck? Hold on, Ty. Fuck that. What the fuck?
I'm not desensitized to this.
Look.
I literally can't even talk about it without crying because it hurts my heart to know we elect.
It's just, fuck. Where in your brain? What the fuck in your brain? I mean, if a person is physically able to do the job that being in the military is required, what the fuck does it goddamn matter? Whether that fucking person is heterosexual, homosexual, transgender, what the fuck does it fucking matter?
It hurts my heart because I have transgender friends, and to tell them that they don't have the right to serve their country because of something they have no control over is absolutely disgusting.
But you know what, too?
And it hurts, like, to the core of me, the core of who I am as an American. This is why it's so hard not to cry about this, because I could imagine if I was a transgender person to have my president tell me you're not worthy to serve our country, that's hurtful, and that should hurt everybody, not just transgender people. Every single person living in this goddamn country should be hurt over this because you're telling people that they don't have the right to serve their country because of who they are, because of something they don't have the choice over. But yet you let black people, even when they were slaves, serve this country. You let women serve this country even when you are oppressing them. Now you're telling transgender people can't serve their fucking country? Are you out of your fucking mind? Like, what is going on?
Right. Absolutely. And I think it's more of a testament, if anything, you know, to those individuals who are affected by this, because, you know, for you to want to serve a country that doesn't accept you, for you to want to fight for the rights of others when you can't even successfully fight for your own rights, that's a bigger testament to who these individuals are. So I salute them above everything else. And you know what? It's sad to have to say it, but maybe we need to stop identifying ourselves as Americans, because clearly they don't see us as that. Clearly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, they condemned Colin Kaepernick, who had a peaceful protest for Black Lives Matter.
Speaking of,
he did not yell, he did not scream, he wasn't jumping up and down. But the second you protest against what these people don't want.
Speaking of, Marshawn. Speaking of, didn't Marshawn Lynch, I think his name is, just do the same thing? He just did the same thing. He refused to stand up during the national anthem. Now look, here's the thing. But even that, forget the fact that, yeah, it's peaceful, but Everybody wants to get so up in arms. Why are y'all so angry that we don't want to continue to support a country that won't even let us fight for our own country? That is ridiculous to me. That's crazy.
What do you feel is the next step for the transgender community? I mean, what should these people do? Like, I don't have any answers. And that's what's boggling my mind. Like, I don't even know what to tell these people. Like, oh my God, like, yeah, I feel for you, and I think it's hard, I think it's difficult, I think it's a shame. But that's all I can offer. I don't know how else to say, okay, this is going to be better. I don't know what to say.
I mean, you know, and I don't know. I feel like this is the civil rights movement all over again. You know, back in the 60s, it was black people fighting for equality and the right to vote and all those things. And now it's the homosexual and the transgender community, the whole LGBT community fighting for similar rights. And just keep the fight going. I mean, if you guys have to take it to the Supreme Court or do whatever needs to be done, because eventually, the same way that every other group over time has managed to keep fighting and eventually, you know, won their position, eventually it will happen. You know what I'm saying? The way I look at it is this: the LGBT community isn't going anywhere, but Donald Trump's only going to be here temporarily. And so, I mean, as much as it is painful and it hurts and it's upsetting now, he's out of here in a few years regardless. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and are they saying what's the progress of this whole thing that he's trying to do? Is it implemented? Is it being put in motion? Like, what's going on?
It's unconstitutional because
I know that, but I mean, has he implemented anything? Is this like a unilateral type of?
It's not implemented yet.
Yeah.
But my whole thing is it's unconstitutional because here's the simple fact: you can't fire somebody for being transgender in most states in this country. You can't.
Right.
And Donald Trump, being the head of the military, he's essentially their boss. Mm-hmm. So for him to say, I'm letting, because of his bill, people who are transgender, who are certain, there's 150,000 transgender people serving in the military right now. Under his bill, they would all be fired and gotten rid of. But if you're the boss of the military and you're firing people for being transgender, you're breaking the law. That's against the law. That's discrimination. You cannot do that. Mm-hmm. So this bill is not going to pass. There's no way it could pass. Like, how dare you? These people have been serving in our country for generations. They have always been there.
And you know what, too? I have to have.
Deciding that they're not good enough.
I have to have.
Because of medical reasons, because of money. They said they spend more money on Viagra for military people than they do on anything.
And you know what?
Less than 1% of our budget goes to less than 1% of our budget goes to transgender individuals. Less than 1%.
Right. I have to have more faith in the system in place as far as checks and balances goes. I feel like this is a problem for if this thing gains traction, I feel like it's potentially a national security issue. This makes our country look weak when we can't even support and let our own fellow citizens, you know, exercise the same rights that they should have that everyone else has. I think it makes us look weak as a country, and I think that's why globally we're not respected. We're really not.
Especially now.
Now more than ever. Yeah. All the work that Barack Obama did to turn the image of this country around abroad, I think has been completely reversed at this point. Regardless of who disagrees with it. Right. Of course.
They want his legacy to stay.
But you know what? Maybe he needs to keep being crazy and trying to implement these crazy ass laws and put these agendas forward, because maybe that's what it's going to take for people to wake up when the next election comes around. But you know what? This is a testament too. When it's time to go out and vote, not just during the national elections, black people, y'all cannot sit at home and decide not to participate, because these are the issues that you caused. These are the issues, and I have to hold us accountable. These are the issues. When you sit home and you decide, well, I don't like any of the choices, so I'm just not going to vote, you're responsible for this also, because you helped to put this man. Not voting at all was a vote for him, and you guys played a part in putting him in office, period.
Absolutely. Like, I was not a big Hillary fan, but I damn sure was not going to try to help.
And this definitely wouldn't be happening right now. You know what I mean? I strongly believe that it would not be happening right now.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It's insane, man. I just feel like we have a huge fight. That's why we do this podcast, man. Because
exactly.
It's so important that we get this information out there and let you guys know what's going on. But
Facts.
You have to be part of the solution.
Exactly.
Vote. Go to your council meetings. Go to your town hall meetings. Email. Call your congressman. Like, do what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
It is so important that we all get involved. And then ever since me and Kevin started this podcast, I have been more involved myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we have to be part of the solution, not the problems. Let's keep it going, man.
And we have to realize that as long as we continue to allow them to take our voice, see, what the problem is, it's all mental. See, they know that we outnumber them. They know we have the power to really implement change. What they do is they try and keep us divided by categorizing us into these different compartments. But if we realize the power that we really do have, and like Ty said, you really start getting involved on the, you know, grassroots level, it's amazing the kind of changes that can really be made. It's just that the problem is the individual thinks one person can't change anything, and that is true. But what you guys fail to remember is that if enough people think that change can be made and come together, those numbers speak for themselves. Those numbers don't lie. I mean, you guys have to really start thinking about the future and what you want for your kids and their kids, because the fight starts now. The only reason why we do have the rights that are afforded to us right now, the little that we do have, is because the generations before us knew that they weren't going to necessarily see change for them, but they were fighting for us. This ship doesn't turn on a dime. It takes time. We are not going to see the change, maybe, you know, while we're still young enough to appreciate the fight or the struggle, but hopefully our kids can. Hopefully their kids can.
Yeah. We're just hoping our next generation definitely does their part and just get involved and do the most, just like really be part of the solution that's going to make this world a better place and get involved. We don't always have the answers, but we try to just enforce our opinion as best as we can. Some of you guys may agree, some of you guys may disagree, but that's the reason why we do it, because we want to open up the discussion.
Exactly.
But I just want to say really quick, I'm Tryone Desperado. You can catch me Tryone Desperado on Twitter, Instagram, and Gmail. Our email is straighttalk315SCR8, the number 8, TLK. That's on Instagram and Twitter. Our Gmail is straight, spelled out, correctly, STRAIDHT315 Please hit us up.
Definitely.
Respond to our posts on Facebook. Respond to our Instagram. Respond to our Twitter. We definitely want to hear from you guys.
Right.
And see what you
And for all of the Apple people out there, your iPhones, your iPods, and your iPads, go to the iTunes store or hit up your podcast app right on your iPhone. Look up the podcast, Straight Talk No Chaser. Subscribe to it. Comments, reviews. Hit up my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Kevin C. Sproul. I definitely upload all the content there as well. I plan to have some segments that me and Ty are going to hopefully start doing on there. The Facebook page, Straight Talk 315, the Instagram, Twitter. We're here. The platform's definitely in place now. I'm seeing the numbers, so I know that you guys are listening. But now it's time to start interacting. Give us ideas. Come talk to us. Let us know what's going on. Even if you just want to hear us talk about something, because y'all are listening. I'm seeing the numbers. So if it's something y'all want to hear, y'all want us to touch base on, something y'all frustrated about, we will shout you out. We will invite you on the show. Whatever. Just hit us up and get involved. I mean, it's only so much that we can do. But this is supposed to be a community platform, so fall in line with that. And Ty, you have anything else you want to add in?
No, I'm good, man. I'm good.
All right, man. Well, look, I'm so upset about this whole weekend has just been you know, with all this stuff going on in the media, and you know, it's, I don't even really know what else to say. All I know is, you know, we're gonna continue.
What we got to record now is the one you wanted to talk about for your.
Yeah, we will. We're gonna me and Ty actually gonna go and do another show on my other platform, Life, Relationships, and Everything in Between. So definitely look forward to checking that out. It should be live by the time this one drops also. Look, man, if you listen to this podcast and you think that we're opinionated and we just talk a lot of shit, it is true, but we do it by design. If you listen to this podcast and you think that we don't have a clue what we're talking about, maybe we don't, but it's your fault for not getting involved. We don't pretend to know. We don't pretend to know everything, and we're not always going to be right, but we do always give it to y'all straight with no chaser. And I'm sorry I had to drag my people, but I hope I see y'all back in the next one and y'all can let me know what y'all thought.
All right, peace.
All right, man. Peace and love.
God loves you.